format.
Yes. So
new format, new tool.
Can you explain what the new format is?
Exactly. So with our new format, our new tools, and your new hat, which I'm loving.
Oh, it's an old goodie, this one.
So what we decided to do was, like, we want to try and bring as many people's perspectives, and we're talking a lot about data and tools and all this type of stuff. And we were thinking, well, how can we bring more people into the conversation? So we are actually going to do our little introduction, which will just be a couple of minutes as usual. Then we're going to bring Jessie on, who we'll explain in a minute, but she's basically going to come on for about 5-10 minutes. And she's going to be giving us an overview of what's going on in the HR tech space. And she's got some quite exciting news from her side as well. And then afterwards, we're going to bring on our guest this week, who Jeremy, who we'll tell you more about later, who is going to tell us all about what happened during the Talent Intelligence Conference, which happened about a month ago now. So it should be a good one. We've got tons. It's going to be packed of knowledge.
Yes, and we're excited, to be able to bring people together and different expertise from different countries of Europe. This is exactly what we are trying to do. And speaking of that, a quick heads up about what we're doing at the moment with the Two Tired Dads. So we had with Presage, we had a live event a couple of weeks ago where we presented the results of our study about data and talent acquisition. If you haven't not heard about that, just go on getpresage.com and leave us your email, and we will give you more information about that. We are currently working on a white paper with all the major insights of our study, and this is something that we'd like to be able to share this month. So if we manage to do
we'll get there.
We will have lots of projects at the moment, but there's something else that you need to have in your calendar, and that's December 17th. What happens on December 17th, John?
On December the 17th, we are doing a Christmas special. We had our summer special in the summer, which was good fun. But our Christmas special, we're going to up the ante. We are going to try and raise as much money as possible for a charity called, how do we say it in English? No,
it's West Children's Villages.
Oh, yes, not enfant, in French. And what we want to try and do is raise as much money as possible. We have sponsors we're talking to, and all the audience are going to be joining and hopefully helping us get raise as much money as possible for this. And if you need more details, there's a link that Jean-Marie's just shared there. So definitely sign up for that. I think we're going to have we have maybe 50 to 60 guests joining. It's going to be an all day from 9 until 6. I think it's going to be really fun. We're going to have games. There's going to be so many different people, and there'll be, for the French speakers, there'll be 2 hours dedicated to French speaking only as well.
But French speakers are welcome to stay for the whole day.
Oh yeah, of course. But specifically for the French language.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing that. And just so you know, as John said, it's from 9 to 6, and we will share more about the program. Obviously, not the details because we have some surprises we're working on. But we invite you to register right now. You will receive the invitation. It's for the whole day, but you will be able to join whenever you want, whether it's for 5 minutes or you want to stay with us for 5 hours. You will be able to just attend and watch or listen, or you will be able to jump on stage if you want to react to some of the topics. It's really like a free.
Bringing the communities together. Exactly. Bring everyone together and have a little bit of fun during Christmas. So definitely check out the link.
And just a last information about SOS Children's Villages, which shows that, well, obviously we are both dads. This is the name of our show, and we really wanted to give back. And SOS Children's Villages is building villages in all over the world for children who are orphans, but so they can stay with their brothers and sisters and not be split and separated, so they can live together. And I think that coming to Christmas time, enabling some families to stay together is important to us. So if you want to just help us, we are not asking you more than just register, so you can be there and support us for this day. And then moving on to today.
Exactly. And I'm going to bring on Jessie. Jessie, I'm going to add you into the stage in 2 seconds. Jessie has got some really exciting news, which I think I'll let her do herself. But basically, she's the founder of a company called Stacked. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to help companies be able to select the right tech for their company at the right moment, and which can be very, very difficult. And she's trying to make that easy. And the reason why we wanted to bring Jessie in to the show, and she's going to do this each week, is she's so well connected in the space. We're always talking about tech and tools and data. And she's so well positioned to commentate on this. So we're experimenting, and we appreciate her joining until Christmas to see if she enjoys it and see what you guys think too. So without further ado, I'm going to invite you to the main stage, Jessie. Hopefully you get that. Da-da-da. Here we go. Jessie is now here. Yes, you're there.
Hi, Jessie.
Hey, John. Hey, Jean-Marie. Thanks for having me.
No, I'm so good. It's so good. You're doing a live. You were doing a load of videos for like a while, weren't you? But now this is the live stuff.
Yeah, you've done a video challenge on LinkedIn, by the way, the last month.
Oh, yeah, I did. I don't know why I decided to do that. I did. And here I am. This is actually my first live, so pretty excited to be here.
Oh, wow.
I'm glad I did this video challenge leading up to this, so now I feel comfortable to be here live. So it does work.
I know. It's always so awkward when we first start doing it, but by the end, we're just like, it's okay. It's just like having a chat together. But anyway, tell us your exciting news. What happened in the last week?
Okay, exciting news. So those who don't know Stacked, we are, like John said, we're trying to make it easier for TA and HR professionals to find and decide on the right tech for their businesses. And we're doing that with a database. So we have a centralized database of HR tech and recruitment tech, and we went live with our beta database, which is at beta.stacked.tech. So you can go and check it out live now. You can check it out whenever you want. It's free access, like you just land in the database, and
we're sharing all the links in the chat if you want to just
fantastic. Yeah, so we went live. So we started with a proof of concept, actually in Notion. So we used Notion to build out a database to see, like, is this something useful for, the professionals out there looking for tech? We wanted to do it a little bit different to what's out there, your G2s, your Capteras, your, all these kind of existing long-standing companies, all my reviews, select software reviews, they're all doing it a little bit different to how we want to do it. And we wanted to kind of like democratize it a little bit, make it more objective, make it based on data, kind of like recruitment, actually, make it like, you search for a candidate, you want to have, got your criteria. We're trying to make it easy to like search for that criteria on tech and then find matching companies and products that would suit you to then shortlist and make that a lot faster than, Googling around and trying to find what's out there, because the ecosystem is massive, like, I mean, huge. And we are, still building our database out. So it's not everything, but it is quite a lot already.
So good. And and what are you seeing? What are you seeing at the moment? What's the hardest thing about doing this? And like as you said, it's niche in a sense, but there's still many players, and especially with AI, I imagine there's more and more joining every day, right?
I think, yeah. I mean, it is, even this is our business, right? And it is even for us, we're trying to keep up with the tech that is coming out and is on the market, globally. There's just such a huge investment into this space, because I think everyone's caught on to the fact that, having really good recruitment and people tech in the business really makes a difference for scaling, for efficiency, for, the whole way in which you work, for culture, everything. It makes things, it makes a lot of sense these days. So there's a lot of investment in that space, especially around AI. Most tools have now an AI component or are trying to include AI. So we're seeing that. I mean, I think that's kind of one of the obvious ones. What we're also seeing a lot is sourcing tools. So RecTech is big. It's the biggest part of our database. We have a third of our database is just RecTech. So from sourcing to, skills-based hiring, to interviewing, to video interviewing, to scheduling, to, the ATS, the CRM, the candidate experience, like you've got, you name it, it's in there. So that space is really, really big. And what we're seeing is a lot of the toolings. You've got your point solution, you've got your, expert at kind of one or two things maybe, and then you've got your kind of all-in-one. And what we're seeing is all-in-ones buying out point solutions, so merging businesses, or you're seeing the point solutions becoming all-in-ones. So they're adding to their stacks. They're really good at one thing, and then they're adding and adding slowly to it. So you are seeing this kind of it's very hard for us at the moment in our business to actually categorize these tools. How do you actually categorize something that isn't a scheduling tool, it's a scheduling plus plus plus, or it's not just an interviewing tool, it's a something
What is it
else.
doing best at as well, right? Because a lot of the time it's driven by the investors that may very well be saying, right, you've done this, we've invested money, now create more lines of revenue to come in. So the ATS becomes a HRIS, the HRIS ATS becomes a payroll system. It all starts to merge, doesn't it, right? And then the other way around, I think, Jean-Marie, was it the Gartner report we were having a look at the other day? And it said something about how HR leaders are starting to be under pressure to consolidate tools because they're under pressure because they've got so much spend. Was that right?
Yeah, that's is exactly what the report said. And actually, one of the key factors to that, yes, it's investing, but at the same time, it's a difficulty to manage all the different systems. And there's a lot of waste in money because companies are taking more and more systems that are very fragmented. And so you have lots of fragmented data, and it's difficult, to just be able to make every system talk to each other. And so a lot of systems have been signed and not used. And we see that when we're talking to HR directors and looking over budget and so on. It's crazy to see how much money can be spent and on solutions that are not used, maybe because it's too complicated, maybe because there's not been any training on it. So yeah, consolidation or at least having tools that allow for everything to be connected is a major trend, I think.
And Jessie, what was the thing? Go on. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, you see these integration tools now. So you've got these basically API tooling that enables the combos and the stack ones, and the deck API I think is one as well. They enable the tooling to connect to some degree. I don't know if they always allow it to connect to the deepest degree, but they allow them to connect a lot easier than before. So that is that's becoming very helpful for the ecosystems to the different tooling to connect now. But we definitely are, we're seeing that there's that challenge there. Like there's lots of expert tech, there's lots of all-in-ones that maybe aren't doing it perfect, but they're all in one. And then you're really good at these things, but then they all have to connect somehow.
The best in class ones,
The best in class, right? And it is a bit of a challenge, what businesses pick and how they do that. And 80%, I think it was even I have to even remember now, I think it might have even been a Gartner report as well that mentioned that 80% of the tech that's purchased in the HR space, there's regret. And that's because of the unstructured way in which it's purchased. There isn't the right structures around how to assess, how to, choose tech and how to design that out for the future. It's a bit haphazard. And that leads to people being unhappy. Like you said, Jean-Marie, people are going, oh, well, I didn't use that tech. And was it because the tech wasn't implemented correctly, wasn't chosen correctly, or is it because the tech isn't useful? What is the reason? And I think there's so many things to delve into there for another day, but there's lots going on there.
But you created something, right? You created an asset for people. Or am I?
Yeah, we did. I mean, to help this process, I think there's a lot to it, and a lot of the time you're moving so fast, right? You're really busy, and so you don't have time to sit down and create an assessment template or even think about what you're going to ask in a demo, what standardized questions. But it is really similar to recruitment. You do need that scorecard. You do need to know what your business strategy is. Why are you hiring this product? Why are you buying this product? And so we've got some resources in our resource hub, which basically a template that gives you all of the structure to basically add your assessment criteria. It automatically calculates weighting, and then you can use that to assess your shortlisted tools. Also guides on demo calls. So how do you do a demo? What questions to ask? Things that if you're on the fly and no one has time, like I've been there, I've been in these calls, and even someone who's done procurement and projects for most of my career, I still know the pressure of being, there's no time, quick, you cut corners. So having templates is really helpful. So we created a suite of templates that you can find now.
I just shared it in the chat as well. It's funny. It's not that I want to talk about it, but when you say, okay, it's difficult to categorize the tool, and I was asking, John, I was asking myself, looking at Stacked and all these, There are tons of tools here. It's very helpful. And I was looking at all the categories and I was thinking, okay, but Presage, the tools that we're working on in recruitment analytics, like, I'm like,
We
which
don't fit
category
in.
should it be? And
I
I don't know which category to go.
Honestly, I had the same feeling when I was doing the competitor analysis. It's so difficult to find where that fits. It's quite funny.
Yeah.
But
well, I had that same discussion with a couple of vendors there. They're like, oh, my tool, what category should it go in? Because we only allow vendors to sit in one category, and we do that because otherwise you'll have a database with one product showing up in multiple things, and it just becomes very difficult to like search the database and see how many true products there are out there. And so we try to categorize, but it is very difficult sometimes. We've sat there sometimes on calls brainstorming with vendors, which category makes sense. One that makes sense, but makes sense for the user, not for the business. Business maybe wants to sit here because they want to position themselves there, but I'm like, is that actually what your core is, and that's what you're really good at, and that's what people should really buy you for right now? Or is it where you want to move to but you're actually not quite there yet? So there's always a balance. We try to make sure we serve our recruitment, yeah, we've
Jessie, I'm sorry to interrupt you. There are so many questions that we want to ask you, but we are short on time. It's been great. Jessie, will you do a huge favor and come back in 2 weeks' time, or next time? I don't know I don't remember.
Whenever it's on, I'll be back if you have a question.
We could build on this because I already have like 12 questions.
I know. I have.
We could talk.
I have all my questions as well.
And guys, I'm going to also be there for the December one. So
fantastic!
With my Santa hat on, bells and whistles, I will be there to support.
Absolutely brilliant.
I hope this was fun and interactive for the audience.
Well, there we go, and you can see this link here. You can go and see Jessie's shiny new tool. I don't even know if it's called shiny. It's shiny. But there we go. Jean-Marie is going to do. Yeah. Oh no, I've got the button. We'll click you. But thank you for joining us, Jessie. It was so
nice.
Right.
Hello,
Jeremy. How are you?
I'm good.
Thanks for being patient.
Absolutely. That was very informative. I actually have questions too. So, I'm just listening. I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, well, yeah.
So thanks for joining us. For those of you who don't know Jeremy, me and Jeremy, I can't even remember how we met. I think don't know what I was doing. I think I was on LinkedIn and I was looking for profiles and I thought, oh, he's got this chap's got a pretty interesting background. I'm just going to reach out. It's what happens. And then we ended up chatting, and ever since we just catch up all the time, and I really enjoy it. But maybe you could just high level tell us like your background, and then we can jump right into the roundup from the Talent Intelligence Conference.
Hey, that means and thank you for having me, both of you, and the audience
appreciate it.
Who's attending. It's exciting. For you to find me on LinkedIn, I remember when you found me, I was like, okay, that means my profile is doing what it's supposed to. Awesome. It means I found out the right keywords and everyone's finding it. I'm showing up on a lot of searches. That's that name that everybody sees at the top of their search. Jeremy Sholl. I live here in Luxembourg. I've been in talent acquisition for most of my life. Before that, I was in geology. It's probably my favorite selling tactic. But I really describe myself in four phrases. I love people. I'm obsessed with data, so data is kind of my blood, and I'd love to be a storyteller. So I like to talk a lot, unfortunately, to my wife's detriment. And then my last piece is I can't be serious. My previous manager, Martin, used to drive him nuts. I can't. I'm going to quote one of my favorite movies that life's too short. You can't be serious. You'll never get out alive. So I can't be serious for too long. So that might happen during the podcast here. But my obsession is with talent intelligence. I love anything that can help. I have such a passion for recruiting. I'll always be a recruiter at heart. That I want to see what tools are out there, things that can help them work harder, smarter, get more visibility. Because I'm fascinated by the fact that people just really don't understand what we do and how much potential business impact talent acquisition has for an organization.
So on that note, Jeremy, thank you for that. I have a very good video that I didn't have enough time to upload it. I didn't know I could do that on this new funny tool. But when you was on my podcast months ago, I had a really good snippet and you was like, talent intelligence is So maybe just like a one liner. What exactly is it, and why is it important to the business?
So on your podcast, I was trying to make a name for myself, and I tried to come up with a shiny word or phrase for it. So I think I took like it's the yin and the yang.
Yes, you did.
Yes, yeah. I'm not going to go that far. I'm going to go a little bit simpler on this. To me, depending on the knowledge you have of the market and the industry already of talent intelligence, to me, it's just going beyond your gut feeling to make critical business decisions on talent and organization goals. And it's really to me, it's comparing your internal information data to what's happening in the market, and then how do you adjust? And really, to me, it's that simple. He's on this podcast right now, but Toby Colshaw has an amazing quote in his book, which I won't steal because you should read his book if you haven't. But it really is just the simpler you make it, the easier it is to kind of learn about it and utilize it.
So good. So should we dive in? Do you want to tell us what was the Talent Intelligence Conference, and what was the first takeaway? What was it?
Give us, share with us, please, for us who weren't there, and we will have to wait one more year.
I know.
I'm going there all the time. I know exactly where the place was. I'm there because I take my son back to the Netherlands all the time, and I stop at Schiphol, and it's literally
this was the first one.
Second one. You get to attend the first one. I wish I would have, because a lot of people there talked about the first one. This was the second one. I was going no matter what. I wanted to learn more about it. I had just left Allianz, and so I wanted to really get around some industry experts and learn more of what I didn't know already. It was beyond my expectations. I'm not gonna lie. I had just gone to RecFest earlier in the year, so I got a kind of a different snippet of different types of conferences. RecFest is lovely, but to me it's more of a product selling type of event. This was nothing but experts. They left their products at the door. It was literally rooms and areas full of experts, brilliant people. I mean, like people who literally wrote the book on talent intelligence were presenting, attending. It was just so informal. The chats were awesome. And it was really about just all of us coming together because we're all really on the same journey. So it was a lot of storytelling, a lot of innovation discovery and discussions. We even had economists there from ND. They had people from different companies and different industries. So the one thing I loved about it was, besides Amazon, because Toby's one of the big organizers of it, there wasn't really big, huge tech companies there. There was really the industry players who were making some of the most innovative ideas. So it was industries that we don't think of, and pharmaceutical and automotive, that really are the ones that are using talent intelligence even more because of the nature of the skills that they're hiring for and how they've evolved over time. So yeah, it was a phenomenal event. The 2 days were just so much fun. As I posted on LinkedIn, I learned more in the dinners and the chats after and the drinks after and actually between the sessions than I did during the sessions.
The VIP and backstage sessions, always the same with all the conferences.
The green room sessions, right?
That's the green room sessions. It was actually, we were all out there chatting. Okay. Especially Ben, the CEO of Renault Labs. Brilliant, just listening, and they're from all over. That was the great part. There was people from not just Europe, there were people from America flown over to attend and present, from Vertex Pharmaceuticals and some others. So yeah, really great event.
So cool. And one of the things you said, one of the takeaways that you mentioned to me was about data being the great equalizer, right? Would you want to share a bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, I had 3 key takeaways. It's hard to summarize 2 days full of events and fun things, especially considering I was a presenter. So I presented a business case on how to build a talent intelligence function at scale, which was a lot of fun. And it was so interesting to do that. But I thought there was really 3 key takeaways that stood out to me for anybody interested in it. One is that it really verified 2 things for me. One, that the maturity model that I've been building for years is alive and true. And with that, we're all in the same journey. And there's just so many different tools, no matter what stage your company is in, when it comes to implementing talent intelligence, being curious about it, being advanced with talent intelligence, where you're integrating talent intelligence, people analytics, and even somebody gave a presentation on how to centralize all your intelligence functions, market intelligence, talent intelligence. It was fascinating. So it really verified that we're all in the same journey. And one thing that was really came true, and Toby and I were talking about this earlier, was that talent intelligence has gone through a rough spot over the last maybe 12 to 18 months. Is that, everyone suffered from layoffs and have been impacted by it. It's myself included. And we've gone through a lot. We've gone through headcount reductions and cost-cutting initiatives, as you mentioned earlier with talking about HR products, because a lot of companies are really on that cost-cutting mode. Is that we're suffering from that headcount reduction, but the demand doesn't go down. So it's really battling and trying to figure out, how do we tie our products and services to business impacts. So it was really kind of sympathetic and empathetic. We were really helping each other along, talking about the same kind of problems, but just in different phases. So that was one of them. And then I really think, and you and I talked about this before, and I know how you stand on it, is the skills-based. It really showed that skills-based movement is getting momentum. And I honestly think AI is going to be an accelerator of that. It showed through all the different examples, and all the different presentations showed how skills-based is really the currency of the future. And if you really boil it down and pull back a moment, it truly will be the currency of the future, because with AI, the integration of AI into job profiles, job segments, families, whatever your terminology is, it redesigns and redefines what a project manager is, a business analyst is, what a recruiter is for the future. So if you don't go back to skills and focus on skills, you're kind of playing with traditional mindsets. And I think the last thing, and I'll open to your questions, and because I know you have plenty. The last one I think really was the ability to tie it back to business impact. I think there was a great presentation by a gentleman from Philips who talked about talent intelligence can learn from market intelligence, making sure you're asking the right questions. Because if you focus on just building whatever you're building from whatever stage in the talent intelligence model you're in, if you focus on the business problem statements first and build backwards, you're always going to be able to show impact, quantify impact, as long as you're focusing on that. So it was really interesting a lot of the same theories, and we're all thinking the same things. So it was great to chat about it, especially considering we're all coming from different areas: U.S. market, Europe market, Asian market, right? It was really great to see the different points of view.
So good. So tell me about the skills-based, right? Because I'm still, I can understand the potential in this, right? I just never seen anyone really get that right or talk about it properly, obviously, because I didn't come to this event, right? So what has got you thinking, right, yes, we're now definitely on the right track of this? And Jean-Marie, I know you probably have a point about this, because you're quite, into this topic as well, but I just wondered if I could ask that first, Jeremy.
Absolutely.
Big swig of coffee before that.
Yeah, and it need the coffee. No, it was fascinating. There was a presentation, and I won't give too much away because I want you to come to the event next year. There was a presentation by two professionals. I think it was one of the biggest attended, most talked about afterwards. It was really using AI and skills ontology to really understand the landscape of an organization's current skills and what is needed in the future. And this really resonated with me a lot, because at Allianz, before I left, we were talking about this. We were talking about, okay, here's our current skills, a bucket of skills that we need for each different type of function or organizational structure. What do we need in 5 years? And what's the skills gap analysis? And we're going by job profile, right? Because simple example, recruiter. Is the skills of a recruiter? Okay, nobody goes to school to be a recruiter. So this is not like a master's of doctorate a master's of medicine or anything like that. It is a recruiter. There's no degree for recruiting. People in recruiting come from various different backgrounds. So it truly is the skills that you're focused on that make somebody successful, not their background, where they came from. And so it really helped us understand, if we boil it down to those skills, transferable skills is the future. How do you actually utilize the talent you have from a cost reduction perspective to move your people in the right positions and upskill them in the right ways, so you can really maximize your competitive advantage with your current population of talent? So you're not spending so much money hiring. But it also, to me, the presentation really helped me. It solidified my understanding of an organization can now figure out, what skills do I need to buy? What skills do I need to borrow? And what skills do I need to build? Those elements really help me understand, because this is the way somebody explained it to me is, if you have any questions, concerns with skills, say you have a product such as Amazon, you deliver a product, you have an amazing supply chain network. You also have AWS, your cloud computing. These are great tools and products. They're built by skills. So skills are what develop those. That's great if you have products, but you need skills in order to develop those. So that's what matters. Because if you're a project manager, that's great. If you're a business analyst, that's great. If you're a product manager, that's great. But each of those roles are going to evolve as to what skills are most important in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Well, that's super interesting. And I know why John wanted me to on that topic. I've been a skills-based hiring advocate for years. But I'm a bit challenged with that school of thought lately, because most recent research showed that skills now have an average duration life of 2.5 years. And so, what you say is even more important. I like when you say, okay, which skills do I need to build? Which skills do I need now? And we see that there are some new trends that focus on different types of skills, which are not how do you transfer the skill, but how do you learn new ones, which is a skill in some way, because some people, are better than others at learning new stuff, but you can develop that. And at the same time is how can you, as an individual contributor, push towards innovation within the organization. And this is something that's interesting, because this is a whole new layer of skills that we need to address. And so I'm very excited about seeing how it's gonna go. But we must some things that is, and I'm confident of that, already dead is the skills management systems, where you have like a catalog of skills that you have, and you are planning on the skills. Because honestly, in all the companies that I've been working with, I see that they are building new great stuff and then putting it aside and not touching it, because it evolves so fast that it's just taking the dust. So companies need to think about skills in a way of how do they evolve, and find a way to want to get back to it. But that's a whole other topic, so I'm not gonna.
No, I couldn't agree more. And in fact, I was listening to a podcast. It was Cheese, and I cannot remember the last name. It was Cheese and
Cheese.
Cheese, yes. They had a SVP of innovation is what her title was, and she was fascinating to listen to. I
listened to this as well.
It was so good, and I loved how she was like, "Stop talking about AI," and it was a really great presentation. But the one thing I took from it was her talking about consultative services, such as a simple example, CV writing and interview prep. If you have a business that does that, you're obsolete. Sorry. Like the skills, we have to identify which skills are starting to not so much disappear, but need to evolve, right? And that's one thing that if I took anything away from being an employee of Amazon is they always raise the bar, right? They didn't want you to stay still because their business was always evolving. So organizations have to start moving in that way. And I think, and a great example of that is GE, General Electric in the United States. They realized this a long time ago, and they realized their business model was failing because they were standing still. They were relying on the same skills, the same individuals. And then the market's changing. I mean, it's to your point, unemployment. I read your post and I loved it, your blog post. Unemployment's the lowest it's been in a decade. So people are, they're staying put. But if you actually counter that with the fact that the longest tenure at a company now has gone below 2 years on average, people are moving. So it's the changing of skill. That means the skills are changing. It means the companies that are not going to upskill their people, that 2 years is going to be evident, and they're going to continue to have to hire. And it's just going to be a continuous problem for them if they don't start thinking about upskilling their people and invest in their people, because the market has changed.
And Jeremy, well, I feel like we could do a whole bit on this.
We could probably.
Just quickly, just to finish. And one of the other things that from the study that Jean-Marie was showing, we always talk about how quickly can you get to impact, time to impact, how quickly can you have an impact on the business and start generating that because you're aligned with the business goals, right? Exactly what you were saying. And one of the things that they talk a lot about is the skills that are really difficult to measure, right? So that person in the team that is like, we call them the glue, right? It's the one that's putting their arm around someone when they're not feeling good. You're having a video call, they're not quite on it, and afterwards they send them a message, or they pick up the phone and they have a conversation with them, or they say, do you fancy going for lunch? And it's that kind of skill, you know, it's that gelling, that bringing together, that type of stuff, right? The soft skill stuff. That's super difficult to know and to measure, right? So this is why I have the challenge with all data, like, and all of the tools, is because sometimes when you're measuring stuff online, how do you measure the stuff offline? And that's the stuff that gets me. And I think we don't want to take all the decisions based on that massive data set that's missing this huge component that's like highly important. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I can't wait until somebody solves that. Because
that's gonna be a hard one to solve. Honestly, that's a hard one to solve. It's because, do you build a foundation on that? Because everyone is different. Because then you add the cultural elements, right? And you compare cultural elements of, and it's a great book. I'm not I don't own rights to it, but it's The Culture Map. It's a brilliant book to read about different complexities. So to me, I don't know if that is something that you can interview, like at Amazon and other companies I work for. Behavior-based interviewing is a great way. There's been put arguments against it, for it. I still believe in it because to me it helps. It's actually the skill of the interviewer. Where I see behavioral-based interviewing go wrong is the interviewer is not good enough. That's basically what it is. My experience thus far. But I would love to as well. But I think that's going to be hard. I think things like personas and analysis of behavioral techniques. And I know something at Amazon and American Express when I worked there was helping leaders handle difficult conversations and just educating them beyond those hard skills. And it's hard though. It's actually very difficult to quantify and set up educational elements. I think Toby has a good point there too as well in the chat, and I just noticed is education systems are not set up the right way. Now.
Well, you've quoted Toby several times, so Toby, we're going to have to invite you to a next.
Yeah, you're going to have to invite him
if you're up for it. And so we just have 5 minutes late. So what else? I know that you had a few other points that you wanted to share with us in terms of takeaways. What else could you share with us?
As we mentioned in our chat earlier, I think one of the things is just to leave everybody on this call and whoever listens afterwards as a challenge. If you're interested in TI or you have been involved in it, you're trying to figure out how to streamline it, make it more impactful, is keep it simple, stupid. Like, don't try to solve the world at your organization with TI right away. You have to start getting into the data first, understand your data accuracy, efficiency, and data literacy, which is a huge one, because the biggest difference where the biggest barrier that TI encounters to this day, and this is something we talked about at the summit or the conference, was data literacy and the knowledge level of the end user, right? Because you're going to have your strategists and your practitioners, right? They're all going to look at the data differently. They're all going to look at the storytelling, which is TI, differently. So you need to make sure that you start out small, whether that's understanding your competitive landscape. Have you done a competitor analysis? Have you done that first as a first step? Try to solve 1 to 2 problems first. Simple, but first start off with the data.
If I may add, sorry, Jeremy, when we're talking about competitor analysis, we're not talking about your business competitor. This is a mistake that I see every time. This is in terms of talent acquisition, and I see lots of companies looking at what their business competitors are, but not who are the competitors in terms of market recruitment.
For the talent.
I couldn't agree more. That's why I say competitor analysis first off, because if you start with your competitor analysis, they're immediately in a traditional mindset going to go right to your business competitors. But if you start in that space and then expand it, you're going to realize that if you're in any kind of tech, you're not going to go right for Meta or Google's. You're going to go to pharmaceutical, automotive, who are actually they're your biggest stealers of talent. So yeah, starting out in a talent lens is great first. So looking at the data, understanding irregularities, like simple things like attrition or lack of applications per offer rates at certain locations. Why, right? Those are simple steps that individuals can take. But if you're more advanced, then you can start to tie it to the business goals. Last thing I'll leave you with is it's a quote I read a couple months ago that TI creates this should be their definition. TI should be creating the logic and the storytelling that shows how the dots are connected. That simple, really. And it really helps break down the logic so that it can educate the end user, because without the end user being educated, TI is going to fall flat. Exactly. And that's really the biggest thing.
And I like the fact that you talk about the storytelling. Is something that we talk about a lot, is that you need to understand that data. And I talk about it a lot. Is like the understanding the difference between correlation and causation. And I won't bore Jean-Marie again with this analogy that I've got, but I'll tell you get this another time. But it's thinking that, all right, this is the problem. They're both the correlations here. So that we must have to fix one of these without getting the bigger picture, you know, with the missing data points and stuff like that.
And I love how it ties right into talent acquisition. Talent acquisition has to evolve to storytellers enough with the traditional recruiting.
Yeah. And my last question for you was, when should somebody start looking at talent intelligence in terms of size of business? Because the general perception is this is only for large companies, right? We have to do loads of large hiring, and we're opening multiple sites and all this type of stuff, and workforce planning and all that. Or should companies be thinking about it very early on?
They should be thinking about it at every stage of the process, no matter where you're at. If you have never thought about it, think about it now. And that was part of my presentation, was a maturity model I built that shows the different 5 stages of maturity and where they're at. And I actually showed 2 business examples of 2 different companies. It doesn't matter where you're at. In fact, that's why I think data is the great equalizer. You could be a big company like Meta, you could be a small company, but if the small company has its data right and accurate and uses its data to understand its landscape, it's actually better than this one, because it understands the data, and that's that equalizer to help balance out the playing field. So it can be, and if anybody, and I know we have to go, but if anybody has any questions on this, I'll gladly discuss the maturity model I built. That's just a foundation to understand where do I go? How do I start this process? It really is just about starting with the basics, start asking the basic questions, and really just keep asking questions. It will help uncover what path you need to take, what you need to solve for, what am I missing, things like that. Yeah. And that's where people can find me. I'm doing a lot of coaching. Presenting at the Talent Intelligence, Talent Intelligence Conference opened me up to so many different opportunities. I'm meeting with different HR leaders to talk about what they're doing now, and just really advising and coaching and mentoring other individuals on how they can evolve their career as a recruiter, as a business analyst, or whatever they may do. So I'm here in Luxembourg offering these services, meeting with individuals.
Connect with Jeremy, the links there.
Yep.
The link is just there. You click on that there. But thank you so much for this, Jeremy. It's been so good. As always, we could go on for hours and hours easily. So thanks for being so concise and very precise on the actual takeaways. It's super interesting. So much in such a short space of time.
You gotta have other opportunities to talk to you, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. I finally got to interact with you.
And you'll be coming on to the Christmas special as well, won't you? If you got time.
Yes. Yeah. I've been away from Paris too long. I was telling my wife this.
It's online. Maybe we haven't been communicating right, because it's online, the Christmas special.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay. Yeah. You know, you over on the 17th. Well, I'm going to come to Paris anyway. It's been too long since.
Yeah, but it's great. But you know, it's good that you say that, because I had a couple of people telling me the same thing, and I'm like, no.
Where is it?
Okay, so we need to work on our communication. Before we go, thanks to all the people who watched and who will watch the replay. If there's anyone that you would like us to invite on this Two Tired Dads Talk Talent and Tech show, please do not hesitate to share the names. We'll be happy to contact them. And well, see you in 2 weeks.
We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much, everyone.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.